Morning, everyone.
Morning. Good morning.
Okay, so we're at 8:15. Really exciting session for you here in front of you. So Miss Wadwani, our assistant principal and our leader of the Read Writing program, has very generously planned this session so that she, along with the team, can lead you through an introduction to Read Write Inc. Read Write Inc. is our phonics program that we run here at the British School, and it's a program to introduce the children to reading. And actually, I'm going to spend 2 minutes. I hope I'm not going to cut into your time, but it's a very, very successful program that we've been running at the school for, I think, about 2.5 years, have we? 3 years now, sorry, yeah, for 3 years now. This is a program, Read Writing, originally called Ruth Miskin Literacy, after the lady. Could I just ask if you could just put your microphones on mute? I'm getting a bit of background noise. Perfect, thank you. So it's a program that was originally developed by a former head teacher in the UK in the 1990s, actually. She was working in a school that was predominantly 90% of the children were Bengali children, and it was at the time of migration, and none of those children were speaking English. So she needed to find a way to get the children not only to speak English, but also to read and understand. So she developed this program that over the years has, I want to say, really flourished and developed, and obviously it's been refined to be even better than it is. Yes, there are many programs that can teach reading, and all of them work if they're done properly, but this is one that I've found huge success with in my schools in the UK, and it's one that we've brought here to the British School. Miss Wadwani has been leading it from the day go, and it is highly successful. So what I can say to you is all our children who join us in nursery and follow through in reception, and some of them that just join in reception, by the end of year one, we have 100% of those children reading. So that is absolutely a fantastic start, because as we know, you learn to read and you read to learn, and reading is the basis of all our work and all our academic studies. We do our best to instill a love of reading into all our children. And if you think back to the time, if I think back to the time when I was a child, if somebody said to me, how did you learn to read? I actually wouldn't be able to answer that. But if you asked me, which stories do you remember being read as a child? I would be able to give you a list. Okay, so it's taught through an introduction to stories, and at the same time, simultaneously, the children are taught to write. So they read and write, they learn the letter sounds, and they learn to write them accurately in conjunction. And then they move on to blending the sounds together. And very quickly, once they learn the first 5 sounds, they're actually reading words. We get them reading straight away to build their confidence. I don't want to steal the whole program, and I could talk about Read Writing forever because I'm a fan of it. I'm an advocate. I've seen over 20 years how it improves children's outcomes and lives. So we do a very good job with Read Writing here, and I know your children will flourish with this program, and all of them, I have no doubt, will be reading before you even know it. So if you're a mum or dad like I was, who would spell out to your partner and say, it's time for them to go to BED, that will soon stop, because very, very soon, or I would be spelling out, they need to go to BED, they will be reading that themselves. And they'll say, why are you telling me to stop? Or why are you telling me it's bedtime? Why are you saying this? Because very, very soon they will be onto it and they'll be reading. So over to the team. Thank you for joining. Enjoy the morning, take in as much as you can.
Thank you very much, Ms. Trotman. Ms. Nadia, I'm going to share my screen very quickly. Please tell me if you're able to see it.
Yes, we can see it.
I'm just getting on to presentation mode. There we go. Okay, yes. Brilliant. Good morning, parents, and welcome to our session on Read Writing, which we also refer to as RWI. Let me introduce all the teachers who are going to be presenting this morning. We have Ms. Callie Stockwell, who's the EYFS leader, Ms. Nadia Engelbrecht, who's the head of year of nursery, Miss Binay Gill, who's head of year 1, and Miss Riddhi Sehgal, head of year 2. And I'm Sneh Wadhwani. I'm the leader for Read Writing and also the assistant principal for Primary School for Teaching and Learning. Throughout the presentation, we've tried to include pictures of your children in action in Read Writing over the last few weeks. So you will get a kind of glimpse into what goes on during Read Writing sessions in school. Okay, to begin with, the aims of our session this morning are that by 9 o'clock, you should have an understanding of how we teach the pure sounds, what oral Fred talk is like, how children learn to blend, and then how they move on to blending independently and reading words, and then also spelling words using Fred fingers. And then what happens next? What after reading all these words, they actually begin to read sentences and stories. So this is a quick taster, a practical session, and we hope you enjoy it as much as we enjoy putting it together for you. May I request you all to actually have a paper and pencil or a whiteboard and marker handy. I'll give you 30 seconds to please get this together because you will need it for the session. Great. Okay, so very quickly, Read Writing is a systematic approach. As Ms. Trotman shared already, the children learn to read the sounds first, and that is taught in a specific order. Once they've learned to read the sounds, they move on to blending those sounds together to read words like these. These are called our green words. And each set, currently, most children will be learning set 1, but as they progress through the program, they'll be on set 2 and set 3, and each set comes with its group of words for children to read. Once they read words, they're actually ready to read books. And all of these books are very carefully matched to reading levels for children. And again, they progress through all of these levels before they exit the program. Once children start reading books, Read Writing books, they are then ready actually to read any book they choose to pick up, because once they're phonetically able, they can start decoding any story or any book of their choice. And they get immersed in reading because there's a very strong program of making sure that children are read aloud every day in school as well, not just by the teachers, but also by the librarians. Read Writing is a 2-year program. It starts informally in nursery in January, semester 2, but formally in reception. So most children who begin the program in reception would take about 2 years to exit the program. However, we don't stop the program just because 2 years are over. We continue with the program if children need it. There might be older children who need to catch up, or there might also be children who are new to the language, or may not be at the expected reading levels in their year groups. So we carry on with the program until they are strong enough and ready to come and join the language and literacy groups in school. Some of the important routines that you need to be familiar with. We discourage the use of the eraser, mostly for the reason that we believe that we learn from our mistakes and we mustn't erase them. When children see the letter that they've written incorrectly, excuse me, and if they actually slash it and fix it, the next time they know the way they formed it incorrectly is not what they need to do now. So it's a visual reminder for the children to know not to repeat that again. And even if they do, they strike it, they slash it and fix it again. So you will often hear the term tick and fix. You tick it if you get it right, you fix it if you don't. Another very important signal in Read Writing is the signal of this palm. You have the visual on the screen as well, which is basically to say stop. The teachers try and use their voices as little as possible so that basic instructions are actually all given using gestures and nonverbals. This also enables the teachers to actually teach at a certain pace, and it doesn't create any disruptions in the lessons. Read Write Inc. is very fast-paced, yet it moves at the pace of the children. So it's a great program that way. Another useful signal is my turn, your turn. Everything is modeled. So my turn is the teacher's turn and your turn is the student's turn. And today you're going to be the students, so you will be doing a lot of MT, my turn, your turn. Another useful one that you must be aware of and you're going to experience today is Fred fingers. But before I tell you about Fred fingers, I need to show you someone and you have to say hello to Fred. Can you all just wave your hand, even if your cameras are not on, and say hello to Fred? Thank you, Miss Nadia. I can see you. Fred is very, very important. Now, everything stems from Fred. As you talk to children about read writing, you'll hear them say things like Fred talk, Fred in the head, Fred fingers. So as we move on with the rest of the plan today, you're going to hear Miss Nadia talk about oral Fred talk. You'll hear Miss Binay talk about Fred talk and Fred in the head. The most important thing about Fred is that Fred only speaks in sounds. Now, because Fred speaks in sounds, the children have to help Fred to blend the sounds. So please remember, Fred is very, very important. Quickly, this is a quick introduction to you to the poster, which is also called the speech sound poster. This is what the children actually go through when they first begin read writing as part of the set 1 sounds. All the single sounds here on the top and some special friends. 2 letters that make 1 sound. So we have a special friend here, sh. Now, all of these sounds here until the vowels are your set 1 sounds, and then we move on to the special friends of set 2. The reason why this is the simple speech sound poster is because this is the first most common representation of the phoneme. Phoneme being the sound, the spoken sound, and grapheme is your written letter. So when I first say the sound, if I say the word play, generally AY is the representation of the A sound, which is why this is the simple version of the poster. Now, I can also quickly show you the complex poster, because this is what the children actually progress to. As you can see, there are many more ways in which A can be represented. And that is what they move on to doing in year 1 and year 2 and beyond. Okay, that's a lot from me, but we need to get active and get going. So for the next few minutes, we're going to have Miss Nadia, who's going to talk to you about all the pure sounds, and you'll get a chance to practice it. Then Miss Gill will talk to you about independent blending and reading and writing words. And then it's Miss Nadia and then Miss Callie. And after that, we have Miss Gill talking about blending words, and then Miss Segal will take you through some ditty activities. I hope you enjoy the rest of this. And over to you, Miss Nadia.
Thank you so much. Okay, so I'm just going to make sure everyone's on mute. Fantastic. Okay, so let's have a little bit of fun. We are going to practice how to say the sounds. Now, I am going to use the teachers to just model how we're going to do this first. Okay, we are going to do a my turn, your turn. I'm going to show the sound, and I will say the sound first, and then the teachers will repeat. Don't worry, you'll have a turn next, so do watch carefully. Okay, so the first one, teachers, can you unmute yourself, please? We have ah,
Ah, ah, ah.
d,
D, d, d, d.
Well done, teachers. I'm going to give you all a fantastic. Now, one thing I do want you to take note of is when we teach the sounds with the students, we use pure sounds. So often you might be helping your child with the sound. That is a pure sound. We don't say m. Okay, so this does come up. So it's really important. Don't worry, there are a lot of sounds. After I finish my Say the Sound section, Miss Callie Stockwell will be putting a link in the chat that will send you to a YouTube that will go through the sounds again. So don't worry if you don't remember all of them. Okay, parents, it's your turn. So please unmute yourselves and we're going to go through all of the sounds together. Are you ready? Fantastic. Okay. Got a lot of sounds. Let me get a few. There we go. Ready? Remember, my turn, your turn. Okay, let's try.
Madam, can you put the letters out a little bit, please?
Is this better?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
There we go. Thank you. Again, this is not fa. We go as a pure sound. Go to the next set. We've gone through the first half. Well done. I'm going to give you all a round of applause. You're doing a fabulous job. Ready? Yeah. This one's a little tricky online. I apologize. Well done. You've all done a wonderful job going through all of the set one sounds. I'm going to give you a hip, hip, hooray. Well done. Now, I am going to ask I'm putting you on mute. Okay, I'm just putting you all on mute while I explain the next activity. As we were introduced earlier, this is Fred. Okay, and Fred is really important for helping the children get excited about oral blending. So I'm going to play a little game with you. So I will ask you once again, to put on your microphones. But remember, Fred only speaks in sounds. Okay, and speaking like Fred will help the children to understand that words are made up of sounds. Okay, so I'll ask you one more time. We're going to play a little game called Fred Says, and you can unmute yourself. I want you to listen to the sounds, and just like the students will do, blend the sounds together and say the word. Okay, let's have a go. Fred says, put your hand on your back. And if your child is unable to do it at the first time, you can also give them the answer as they learn to understand how Fred works. So you can go, Fred says, put your hand on your back as a way to model for them. Let's try one more. Are you ready? Can you please pass Mummy her bag? Thank you. So this is a great way as well to practice. You can practice at home, when you're in the car, when you're looking out the car. A lot of you have a long way to go back and from school. So it's a great way to practice these skills with Fred in a really, really fun way. Thank you all for participating. Now it's over to Miss Kelly.
Thank you, Ms. Nadia. So we're going to move on now to looking at blending with tiles. Now, tiles are the first stages of what we call early writing in EYFS. It's before children have to worry about picking up a pencil. It's all about recognising the graphemes and the phonemes, so the sounds and the letters, and beginning now to move on from all blending and to matching it to using cards as well. Now, if you're at home for online learning, you don't need to necessarily have the cards. You can make them from bits of paper, post-it notes, whatever you like, as long as you can kind of have a representation of those cards. I'm just going to show you my board now, so we are slightly ready. So there you go. So you can just see that I have got some flashcards. which I know we're going to share with you the link at the end if you would like to purchase these, but there's no expectation that you do. So with these cards, we then use them to carry on with our oral blending, so children start to understand how to link oral blending with a visual as well. We also know, because children who are quite young, they find sitting for a long time quite difficult. So having something they can manipulate themselves keeps their hands busy and then keeps their focus, which obviously is crucial for our younger children in their early development of learning to read and write, because we're trying for those 20 minutes to keep them really focused so everything is getting soaked in. So as Miss Nadia was showing, we use our pure sound. So as we learn a few sets of sounds, we can then begin to write words straight away. So we don't waste time. We just use the sounds we've got to begin to write words. So if I use my first sets of sounds, so I might have, say, and I can use those to begin to write words straight away. So what we would do is on the board, I would say to children, as you saw Miss Nadia saying, I sat on a at. And they might shout out mat to me if they're ready for blending. Some of them will need a lot more help, and I might point to a visual of the mat that they're sat on too. And as I'm saying that, I'll be saying at. What sounds can we hear? And some of them would begin to notice those sounds. So I'll say, I can hear a So I would use my card and I'd put it on the board to begin my first sound. So I'm going at. It's really exaggerating and emphasising a lot on the sound. So at comes next, and again some will be ready and shout it out, and some find those middle sounds really tricky, so you have to emphasize those quite a lot. So it might be going at, and they might say and if they don't, I would show them. I say and what goes next at the end? And again, some children find the final sound really tricky, so we might have to emphasize that too. So at, and they would hopefully say, and I would show them the individual sounds. So I have a at. Now, children again learn the rhymes, which we're going to look at later, and some of them will use the rhymes, and that's okay, but we always go back to the sounds. We always remind them of those pure sounds. And then I can show them that by putting them close together, I've actually made my first word, at. And I use my finger to swipe underneath to show them that it's one word together, and at, mat. Once the children have kind of understood that, I would ask them to then use their own sets of cards. And this is what you can make at home. It can be a whiteboard, it can be paper, it can be fridge magnets, whatever you like that you think would work. And we will go back to this, and then I'd ask them to see if they can find their sets of sounds. Try not to give the children too many, because it becomes very difficult for them to physically manipulate them, and then they get carried away at making something else. And then we have a go at doing it. Now, some children will rely heavily on your visual to begin with, before being able to use theirs quite independently, but as you progress they will start to do it with you at the same time sometimes, or they'll already have a go before you if they're really keen. So try to be really positive about it, but it's all the time modelling my turn, your turn, and making sure they're using pure sounds like as Miss Nadia said, not m. So then the children would use their own ones, and they would just move them down to say and again it's that recognition. They've got to find the sound themselves to make sure they're in a modelled order when you put them out. And then put the t there, and again at, mat, at, mat. And then you can start to manipulate sounds to show them actually sometimes we only need to change one sound to make a new word, and that's as you progress. So they'll learn that they can put s here, and it says at, sat, and that's also embedding those early stages of rhyme as well. So that's what I'm using with tiles. Lots of praise all the way through, like you saw with Miss Nadia, all the way through, using any silly applauses as you can, just to keep the children really positive what they're doing. Thank you, and over to Vinay. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Callie. And so after the children have learned to build the words using tiles, we move on to learning to blend independently. And the children use phonic green cards. So we use the phonic green cards to do to blend with when we're learning to blend independently. There are 3 components to learning to independently, and I'll take you through each one of them. The first one is Fred talk. And after the children do Fred talk, we move on to Fred in the head. Fred in your head, and then reading the word speedily. And then I'll talk about spelling as well, which is Fred. We'll use our Fred fingers for spelling. So I'm going to begin with Fred talk. And as Miss Wadhwani said, and as Miss Nadia also had, we always keep Fred ready. All right, so Fred can only say sounds, and the children have to help him to read the word. So we've got Fred here, and Fred's got some words. And I'm going to show you the first word that we're going to Fred talk. I'm going to ask the teachers to help, and then you will have a turn to do it as well. All right, so teachers, are we ready? Let's Fred talk. All right, so as I touch the word, any special friends? No. Fred talk. Brilliant, fantastic. You were amazing. Now it's your turn. And are you ready, parents? So we're going to try to Fred talk. All right. So we're going to, as I touch the sounds, as I touch the letters, please say it. Here we go. Fantastic. You all deserve a marshmallow clap. That was amazing. So once the children have read the green words and have done Fred talk, we then look at if they've got enough previously taught words. We don't show them the dots and dashes, and we use Fred in your head to gain speed. All right, so we're going to look, and we're not going to be saying the sounds now. We're going to review previously taught words without dots and dashes. And we're going to do Fred in your head. So when I show you a word, say the sounds quietly in your head. Don't say them out loud. When I move the word forward, that's when you read the word. All right, so we're not doing Fred talk, we're doing Fred in your head, quietly. Are you ready? So we're going to model it for you. The teachers, are you ready? Hot. Fantastic. Parents, your turn.
Gap.
Remember, I show you the word, when I move it forward is when you read it. Shall we do that again?
Gap.
Fantastic, absolutely brilliant. And now, once the children have done a lot of previously taught words, we move on to reading words quickly. So they're getting their speed and they're gaining their speed and accuracy. We're going to just look at some words and we're going to read them very, very quickly. So we're not doing Fred in the head, we're not doing Fred talk, we're not doing Fred in your head. We're just going to read the word quickly. So we're going to do one for you. All right, here we go.
And.
All right, parents, are we ready? Brilliant, fantastic. We're all going to get our roller coasters ready and we're going on a roller coaster ride. Are you ready? Whoosh, you were all amazing. Now, once the children have done their Fred talk, Fred in your head, and speedy reading, we move on to spelling. So for spelling, we're going to be using Fred fingers. All right, so we're going to use our non-dominant hand for fingers and our dominant hand for pinching. Are you ready? And you're going to pinch the sounds as we say it. So the first word, and this is for the teachers, we're going to model it for you. The first word is log. Log. I wonder how many fingers I need for that word. How many sounds are there? Let's see. That's right, well done, 3 fingers. We're going to pinch each finger as we say the sound. Are we ready? Excellent, shall we do that one more time? Right, can you write it down? Can you write it down? So get your pen and pencil, write it down. Are you ready? All right, I need my helpers to help me write the word log. So what's the first sound we hear in the word log? Log. Excellent. So down the long leg. If you've got give yourself a tick. And if you've got it written this way, it's all right. Just give a little slash and fix it on top. So you just fix it on top like that. All right. So you can do your tick and fix. All right. The next sound, log. Log. Oh, brilliant. Brilliant. Around the orange. If you've got off, give yourself a tick or fix it. Fantastic, Callie. I can see you've got your off. Brilliant. Let's hear the last sound. Log. Log. Fantastic. Thank you, Snake. Well done. Around the face, down the hair, and give her a curl. Give yourself a tick. Brilliant. Fantastic. Parents, are you ready to have a go? All right, this word's for you. Okay, and the word is can. Can. I wonder how many fingers we need to show for can. Thank you. I can see parents have lifted 3 fingers. Are we ready to pinch the sounds? Ready? One more time. And remember, it's pure sounds. All right? Can you write it down? And then we'll do a tick and fix. You are all amazing. Right? All right. Okay, we're ready to do our tick and fix. Can. What's the first sound I have in that word? Huge. I love that pure sound. Well done. Around the caterpillar. What's the second sound we have in can? Around the apple, down the leaf. Oops, I forgot to do the tick over here. Give yourself a tick for the first sound and a tick if you've got a. And if you've got a written like this, that's all right. You don't need to worry. Just give a little slash and fix it. Okay? All right. The last sound, can. Brilliant. Down Nobby over his net. Give yourself a tick. Fantastic. And I think you were amazing. And let's say you are great, great, great. Can we do that? Get your great already? I am great, great, great. Fantastic. And now we're ready to move on to Ms. Vidhi for the Ditty group.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. Good morning, parents.
Good morning.
So once the students are ready to recognize the sounds as shown by Ms. Nadia, and they are now ready to blend independently, they're ready to read simple sentences. So this is a ditty that you see on your screen. Students will begin by reviewing the sounds on top and the green words on top. They will also read if there are any red words, like we have one here, of. This prepares the students to read the sentences below. I will request the teachers, we will follow Ms. W's arrow, and I will request all the teachers to have a go at reading independently the first sentence.
Miss Riddhi, I'm afraid the arrow isn't working because I'm on presentation mode. So we'll just use the cursor as a signal for movement.
That's right.
Sure, Miss. Thank you so much. So remember, the students have just started blending the sounds. So they might just blend each word, each sound in each word, and they might read a little slower, which is perfectly fine. So may I request the teachers to have a go at the first sentence for us?
Sip.
Sip. Cup. Of. Milk. Thank you, teachers. You were fabulous. So this is how the students would initially read the sentences. I request the parents, you can unmute yourselves and let's give a try to the second sentence here.
Sip.
Sip.
Let's continue to the next sentence. Sip. Mud. That was fantastic. Let's give a big whoosh to our parents. Whoosh. Thank you, teachers. So over the time, while the students are reading the ditty, some words will become automatic for them. Like we have been reading sip a cup of so many times, so that becomes automatic for them and they might just get faster and faster. In the second read, the teacher would read the sentences. She will demonstrate reading the sentences with a little expression, and then we move on to jump in. Now in jump in, I'm going to read and I'm going to miss out on some words. Students will follow and read the word that the teacher misses out. Let's have a go. So parents, you can unmute yourself and just read the word that I miss out. Sip a cup of milk. Sip a cup of pop. Sip a cup of mud. Brilliant. That was fantastic, everybody. Thank you so much. Moving on, the students will now learn how to hold a sentence and write. Now, the purpose of hold a sentence is to spell words with the sounds that they have learned to date and to be able to retain and remember a sentence in memory and write from memory. This helps students write simple sentences but without a punctuation mark. This sentence is found at the bottom of the ditty and the sentence for this ditty is sip a cup of pop. My turn. Sip a cup of pop. Your turn.
Sip a cup of pop.
Sip a cup of pop.
Sip a cup of pop.
The teachers will go on with the sentence till the students are secured with the sentence in their memory, and then the teacher demonstrates writing the sentence. I am going to do the same. I have my whiteboard ready. I will demonstrate the sentence for you, but it's a little tricky. You are the ones who are going to help me write the sentence. So my first word of the sentence is sip. Can you use your red fingers and help me write the word sip? What should be my first sound? Thank you. I have my first word, sip. That was fabulous. And we remember when we are writing, we have a 1 finger distance. We do not forget that. My next word, sip. What should come next? Thank you, Miss W. So I'm going to write my So I got my sip. Comes next. Cup. Brilliant. Can you again use your fat fingers and help me write the word cup? I can hear the sound. Amazing. I got sip. Cup. Comes next. Oh. That is a tricky word. That is a red word. It spells O, but goes of. The students would be aware of this. Next word, sip a cup of. Comes next. Pop. Can you help me write pop, everyone? I got There you go. We have completed our sentence. Sip a cup of pop. Now, everybody, in your jotters, you're going to write the sentence from your memory. Off you go. Write it down. And that's the time when the students will write it, and then we will tick and fix. So parents, give it a try. Great, I can see some of you are ready. So time to take a fix. So let us look at our first word. If we have our p looking like this, give yourselves a tick. If you have your A looking like this, give yourselves a tick. If you have your k, p looking like this, give yourselves a tick. In case any student has any word wrong or any sound missing, they would just add the sound or they would just put a slash and fix their work. If you have your of written like this, give yourselves a tick. And if you have your p of p, give yourselves a tick. If you have your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces in between, give yourselves a bonus tick. That takes care of our whole sentence. Thank you so much, parents. Have a lovely day ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Riddhi. Can I hand over
And
to
Ms. W, I just wanted to add that it's important to note that when you're writing your word, you're taking each sound. When you're writing a sentence, you're taking each word. Yes, so that's important to note. You must have seen when we were doing Fred fingers, doing the word, we were taking each sound, each letter. But when you're writing the word in a sentence, you're only taking the word. Okay.
Thanks a lot, Ms. Gill. Callie.
Thank you. So we're going to move on to red words now, which you've heard me mention throughout. Red words are words that we just have to learn to read. They're being naughty, they're being tricky, they're not playing the right game, they're trying to confuse our children. So we just have to learn to read them, and it can be quite frustrating for children. So here you need lots of praise and lots of encouragement, because they can be quite difficult for children. But they're also crucial, because without these words, children can't become fluent readers. They're really vital. So I'm just going to model you how we read a Fred word and how we kind of introduce that they're being naughty. And we make that kind of a fun game that they're trying to confuse Fred and things like that. And then basically how you kind of move on to be a fluent reader. So if I showed you quite an obvious one here that is said. So I would talk to children first of all, when I first introduce them words about why they're being naughty. So I can see I've got a special friend here, and the children would have learned that this possibly is AI, which is a snail in the rain. But when it's a red word, we can't use our sounds. We can't use red. We have to say the letter names, and we have to learn to read them. So what we do is when there's a sound that they've learnt before as a special friend or set of sounds, we say it's being naughty, so we're going to exaggerate it. So rather than saying s-a-i-d, that's not allowed because we don't Fred a red, we say the names. We say S-A-I-D. But because this part's confusing children because they would have learnt it as A, we exaggerate it. So we say S-A-I-D. S-A-I-D. You can make up any little kind of chant or rhyme or exaggerations. There's no rules, but you're trying to teach the children that the naughty bit, we need to stick it in our brain as the letter name. So S-A-I-D, for example. So we'll do one together in a moment. So if I showed you another common one is U, really difficult for children. This is they would have learned probably as ow, ow, shout it out. But now all of a sudden they've got to learn it as OU. So we'd say Y-O-U, Y-O-U. So if I can ask parents to have a go with me, it'd be my turn, then your turn. Y-O-U.
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 And you would keep going a few at a time. So then we would have, for example, your, another one that's quite tricky for children. So I might say Y-O-U-R. Y-O-U-R.
Y-O-U-R.
And again, there's no rules. It's how you choose to make that kind of emphasis. You can shout it, it could be whispered, it could be an angry kind of voice, anything like that that makes the children remember. Another horrible one here is water. And I often say to children, let's try and sound it out, because they always think they can sound one out because it looks like there's so many sounds. So they say, what at? And I say, water? What is a water? And they go, no, that's not a word. You can't Fred a red. This is a dot point. And then they remind me, and we say it's water. And we talk a lot about this at being naughty, and it's saying or sound. So we say W-A-T-E-R. W-A-T-E-R. And we make the A quite angry because it's deliberately trying to trick us. And it really helps it to stick in the children's memory of what's being naughty. Once they become fluent, we use the other side and we take away all the little clues and hopefully the children can just learn to say them. So we get quite quick. We say set. Water.
What?
Your. You.
You.
And we get faster and faster. And as the children learn a group of words, we then add more. And then in their ditty books, or whichever colour book they're on, they start correlating words to their book. So those are red words for you. Remember, you can't thread a red. No thread with those red words. Thread is banned. It has to be from your memory and learning them. As we're progressing through our sounds, the children also learn how to form the letters. So you saw me earlier with using the tiles. This is when the children aren't ready necessarily for lots of writing. We still do a little bit, but not too much, because it's all about the sounds. As they progress through, though, we're always teaching them the rhymes of the sounds, and we'll share this with you as well. I'm sure it's all in Firefly for you already. But we'll have every letter has a set of rhymes, and this is to help children learn how it feels to write a letter. We know that early development is all about the feeling for children and what makes it stick for them. So in nursery reception, we always encourage, before holding a pencil, to do things in the air. So they pretend they have their imaginary pencil and they do it in the air, or they might use their paper and their pen and they do it on their hand. And it's all about that kinesthetic feeling of learning what something feels like. So I'm just going to want to I've got 3 with me of the rhymes. They're all on the back, so you don't have to memorize them, just to help you. And I'm going to show you how we would help the children to then start to write this. So this is the letter, and I would show children at the beginning when we was doing what Miss Nadia and what I was showing you earlier. It's a horse, and I can see the horse has a head, and he's got his feet, and horses' feet are called hooves. And he's got a back, and he's got a lovely swishing tail. And I would show the children then how to form a H. So we would say to them, it's down the head, to the hooves and over the back. And I'd be writing this on the board for them at the same time. So I'd be saying down the head, to the hooves and over his back. And we always emphasize that we don't take our pen off until we really have to. So most sounds, we don't have to take our pen off at all. So then, for example, if I show you another one, if I use yeah. Now yeah has a picture here, and you can see he's got some horns. So our rhyme for yeah is down the horn, up the horn, and under his head. And they learn this through when they learn the first sound, and they talk lots about the pictures, and they learn words to match and pictures to match the sounds. We might look at a yacht and all sorts of yogurt and things. So they're learning this as they go through. So it's all connected. And then again, I'm modelling to him down the horn, up the horn, and under his head. I don't take my pen off, because young children love to take the pen away. And as you saw earlier, Binay, and we don't take our pen off. It's all the way around. So around the apple and down the leaf. However, there are a few sounds, as there always are in the English language to make it tricky, that spoil it for us. So something like, which is down the tower, across the tower, we tell the children it's okay to take their pen off because they're going to need to. So for example, down the tower, pen off, across the tower. So it's encouraging as much as possible early to get those formations correct, because children find anything that has a curl, or what they call a stick, they just like to add it on at the end. So they just think, oh, they can just, so they'll do they'll do the circle, and then they'll remember the tail, and they'll go, oh, I like that one. So we try and correct that as soon as possible, that it's a one motion, because it's very hard to undo this, but it's easier to teach it in the beginning. So lots of these, and as I said, you can buy the cards and the rhymes are on the back. So it's really helpful to remember, because even as grown-ups, we do forget them. Lots of praise, and if a child makes a mistake with their formation, we don't get cross or angry. We just show them again and again, and loads of praise. So I might give you something like my lovely little ones love ketchup clap. So we pretend we've got our ketchup bottle and we're trying to whack out the ketchup, and again, keeping their bodies moving. That's all for me.
Thanks a lot, Miss Callie. What I have done is the parent packs that Miss Callie was referring to, she's just going to hold them up so you can see them. I have added the links for the same packs on the chat here. So you're most welcome. If this is something that you would like to purchase, you can just go to the links and buy the ones that are appropriate for the age group. Best to check with the teacher, the one that you should get for your child, because I might not recommend this for parents of year 1 and year 2, but I would ask the parents of year 1 and year 2 probably pick up the age 5 to 7 pack and not the 3 to 5 year old pack. Hope this has been helpful. What we will also add on the chat here is the Firefly link to the page. I'm also just going to quickly share it so you can see how to navigate it. Just give me a moment. It's opening up. One moment. Here we go. So this is our Firefly page. It has all the information that you will need and that you've heard us talk about today, including all the set sounds and handwriting. So what Miss Callie was referring to about the phrases that we use, they're all given here. So please feel free to navigate this, and it has information on handwriting and all the phrases that we use, like Macy, mountain, mountain, and around the apple, down the leaf. And this you have access to. We are now open to any questions. If you have any, I'll be happy to answer them. I know some of the teachers have to run away to teach read writing now because it is way past 9 o'clock. But if you have any questions that you would like to ask, please feel free.
There is, Miss Wadwani, there is one question. Arav Kapoor, will tracing sounds be introduced to children for improving writing, or is it not recommended? It's actually, can I answer that? It's
Yes,
not
please.
recommended. It's not recommended, and actually it's not necessary with this program. So the get writing aspect of it will guide you through that if you buy those booklets. And if you don't buy the booklets, that's equally fine, but the team will guide the children through writing. And what the aim of Read Write Inc is really, it's not about tracing writing, it's about forming the letters, and you know, and they'll form them with their fingers, they'll form F, and then they use, you know, they might draw it on their friend's back, and then they will start to write with a pencil. But it's not advised to trace letters, it's not necessary, and it probably contradicts what the program's doing, so we wouldn't advise it. Any other questions? If you want to just raise your hand, type them in the chat. And even if you can't think at the moment, or there is a question that comes up, you're more than welcome to just contact one of the team, and we'll be happy to help you in any way that we can. I think that's it. I just got to say, ladies, that was a really useful session. Thank you so much. I wasn't intending actually to stay in this, but really interesting, really good. And I think you've equipped everybody with lots of information. Okay, another question, Miss Huda. How does one know what stage the child is at with their read writing learning at school and at a given time, so parents can match their work at read writing home with the children? Yes, Shweta. Sneh, I know
Yes.
it's a very fluid assessing without the children knowing they're being assessed, but Miss Wadwani?
Absolutely, you hit it spot on, Ms. Trotman. So we assess the children every few weeks. We don't wait for them to reach a certain point in the term to decide where they will move. The moment we feel the children are ready to move on to the next group, they will. The best person to ask is their own class teacher. She'll be able to guide you and tell you exactly where your child is at in their RWI journey, and then you can support the child. During parent-teacher conferences and otherwise when you meet with the teacher, you will know what your child is doing in RWI. So please just ask the teacher and she will guide you. And often the child will come home and tell you the same thing as well on what they're doing in school and what level at which they're reading and what sounds they're learning. So hopefully there'll be a lot of communication about RWI from the child too.
But they're never, can I just add, they're never kept in a group for longer than they need to be. So once, you know, they're assessed and they're assessed that, yeah, they mastered this and they're at this level, they're moved into the next group. So the groups are very fluid and they're changed according to obviously the children are progressing at different rates and at their own rate. But one thing we never do, and we would really strongly encourage you to never do, is measure your child against another child. Because we only measure children against themselves. So it's about everybody, where their starting point is and how they're progressing in relation to their own starting points. So please don't ever go down that road of measuring your child against other children, because they all develop at different rates. And it doesn't matter, they can all be in the same environment. Some of them will take a bit longer, some of them, you know, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And it's not a problem. We will get them there. But please don't measure them against others, because it just makes them feel less confident. You know, if their little friend, if Arab's moved up a group and then you say, oh, but why are you still here? It really isn't helpful and it's not important. What's important is that they're moving on in relation to where they've started. And I can assure you, all of them do. And it's a pleasure to listen to them reading. I can't wait. Okay.
Ms. Chopra, there is another question.
Yes,
are we on
I
track
see.
for the RWI program despite the disruption to on-site schooling? So
Go
yes,
on.
we are absolutely on track. Despite being online last year, every child in year one was reading, and that includes all the children who joined us in the middle of the year, because as you know, at the British school, it's a very transient population. The children come and go at different times in the year. But the beauty about this program is the moment we read and assess with the child, we know exactly where the gaps are. And we have a very strong one-to-one program. We identify the children who need that extra support. And then we have teachers walking around with their pinnies, which are little aprons with cards and words, and they'll support the children. We have short 3-minute pull-out sessions. And actually these go on all the way up to year 3 and even year 4, because we want to make sure the children are absolutely confident before they move on. We don't want to build on a gap. We need to have absolutely solid foundations. So yes, to answer your question, we are on track with the program despite the pandemic.
Yes. Another question? A bit confused. I'll come to you, Mr. Namal, 1 minute. Arjun Yadav, I'm a bit confused about the read writing books, given especially their colour and sequence.
Okay, what I've just done, I've shared on the Firefly page, which has the entire progression of all the colors. But just for your information, the first level at which your child will start to read will be the ditty, the one that Miss Riddhi shared with you this morning. And then the children move to red, green, purple, pink, orange, yellow, blue, gray. But you might not be able to remember all that. So it's all on the Firefly page, including what happens at each stage, what kind of grammar they're exposed to, what kind of vocabulary and things like that. So remember, the RWI program is not just about reading a book. There is so much more, along with writing, extended writing, and building a sentence, learning how to articulate the sentence correctly. So all of that is part of the program, and all of that information I've just posted on the chat.
Yes, Mr. Namal, you had your hand up.
Thank you, Miss Melisha. I was actually trying to make a complimentary remark to Miss Snare on this RWI program. I am a new parent, and my son is only, I think, a month or so into the RWI program, and I've seen that I think the program is right on track, because I've been observing my son at home, and I think you need to be commended on that. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for those words. That means a lot. It really does. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Any other questions or feedback? As I said, please don't hesitate to reach out to the teachers if you're unsure about anything. And your child's class teacher is the first port of call, and usually everything can be resolved there. If there are any queries, they can usually 99% of the time resolve it. And if not, then the head of year or Miss Wadwani, if it's regarding teaching and learning read writing, you know, but we're more than happy. We're here for you as much as we're there for the children. Obviously, we need to work as a team. So thank you for joining. Absolutely great to see you all this morning, and great to have such a good turnout. Just a shame we couldn't be here in person doing it. It would have been more fun. Fantastic.
Thanks, and thank you
Thanks,
again.
ladies. That was really helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Have a great day.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.